Now, what an annoying everything. Sorry, folks. I'm trying to do this efficiently, and it keeps switching up on me. Trying to draw tonight, but every time I set it up to draw, it goes back to a different orientation. Let's see if that works. All right, are we at it here? Guess so. Hopefully this isn't going to be too wobbly here tonight. I'm going to do a live draw for a little bit. I figured I would try. I've been away from home the last 2 weekends. I went to halfway between Rhode Island and Ohio. Last weekend, I'll get into that. And this weekend, I'm visiting friends down in North Carolina. But they went to a Nine Inch Nails concert, and I'm drawing for you. So, hello, you have found yourself at the Toy Armada with Aaron Archer. I am Aaron Archer, a 30-year toy veteran of Kenner and Hasbro, mostly on Transformers, but Kenner Batman and G.I. Joe and Beat 'em On and Metabots and a lot of other little things here and there. And I'm going to draw, and we can talk about whatever tonight. And I don't totally have a time limit. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start on Cryotech here. That is what I'm going to try to get going here tonight, mostly. And then I thought we could leave it up to the group here to see if we wanted to do a Dark Mount, an Optimus Megatron, a Thunder Blast, a King Atlas, or a Scorponok from back in the day. So I'll cover those again, but feel free to put your input out there. So again, this isn't my normal setup, so my lights are a little shadowy here. I hope that works out. And yeah, we'll just take it from there. Hope everybody's been well. How you doing? Patrick Brown, Ninjatron, Andrew Long, how you guys doing? El Kevo, how are you? Yeah, I'm doing this one from my phone. That's another reason it looks a little different here tonight. Let me see here. All right, I'm pulling up some reference, mostly for the colors of this guy. Cryotech is the redeco of the red Megatron, but it was an exclusive item for some retail back in the day, so it wasn't easily found, which means not everybody has it, kind of on a lot of people's wish list. I kind of wish that it was easier to find. I wish they would do the redeco sooner than later of the new one they made. I don't know why that hasn't happened yet. So those of you that are new here, I sketched these out a little bit in Sharpie here just to get my flow. But it's weird to draw on top of another drawing. So that is cumbersome sometimes. Tough to see where I'm looking. Big on, that's cool. Wind Charger, how are you? Ninjatron, of course. I'm using my buddy's laptop here, and I'm not familiar with the controls, so apologize as I get set up here. I want to do the dragon from the trigger video, as I've been drawing for a while now, but it's a cool pose. I just have to find it. So what has been going on? Been a lot of Transformer announcements. What are people excited about or not? I'm eager to get those blockies. All right. All right. Wanted to get my locations right. What I'm trying to do is leave the name visible, if possible, in the little illustration. All right. So I am in North Carolina this weekend. Last weekend I was in, I guess, the Pocono Mountains outside of Scranton, which is halfway between Rhode Island and Ohio. So I was out that way, and family was trying to figure out what we could do. So we were looking at attractions and different things in the area. And wouldn't you know it, the Frank Frazetta Museum was only like 45 minutes away. So the family chose to do that, which has been on my bucket list as far back as I can remember. Hearing that there was a Frank Frazetta Museum in Pennsylvania. And so we went there. It is on Frank Frazetta's. First of all, let me make sure everybody's on the same page. Frank Frazetta was a illustrator, paperback cover artist, painter, and comic book guy back in the 50s as well, but very much known as the main guy as far as fantasy art started in this country anyway. And he's got a museum. He left New York at some point and then went to Western Pennsylvania and opened up a museum at some point. And he kept all his original paintings. He's the one that is responsible for getting artists their art back. I had forgot about that being a fact of his. But all his, good amount of the paintings are still there. He, they've been divvied up amongst his children, and so one group has kept the museum and going, and with the art they have, which is still awesome stuff. It's all awesome stuff. So I saw some great originals. Got to talk to Frank Frazetta III, who I had spoke to at PowerCon a few years ago. So yeah, it's just really awesome. They're really down to earth, and to see that artwork up close, and it was just really, really amazing because it's not not something you see every day, or get a chance to see every day. High-end illustration work just down the road from your hotel. So if you have the interest, I highly recommend it. It was well worth it. Kind of a nominal fee. It's not a huge room, but it's not tiny. But it was just awesome to see like I said, the artwork up close. All right, what are we chatting about in the chat here? Yeah, it was really cool. I got some gear that I'll be wearing at TFCon Chicago for sure. I got a pretty cool hoodie with the Death Dealer on the back of it, which is kind of fun. Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, like I said, life goal, bucket list kind of situation. So really cool to did that, and who knows, I had such an interesting time. I might go back and deep dive at some point. We'll see. Happy Friday, Red. It is indeed. All right. What's going on here? Yeah, no wings yet. They're gonna go in here somewhere. I really don't want to cover up this art, so we'll see how that goes. Get my balance right. Let me see here. Yeah, I got a pretty tight window here with my camera is where it is, but I can't really move it too much. All right, so let's get some thoughts in here. Ninjatron has already brought up Thunder Blast, but between Dark Mount, Optimus Megatron, Thunder Blast, King Atlas, and Scorponok. Who do people want to see me attempt? Any preferences? So what's the order of the combiners? They just finished the Devastator, right? And they're almost done with Superion, and then they've just started Bruticus. Is that the deal? Yeah, I never know what mood I'm going to be in. So these are the ones I pulled out here today that either I haven't drawn or we'll just find, I guess, interesting. The yeah, man, I always will say it. I'll continue to say it. Combiners are tough, man. Just getting all that ratioing right, getting the size right. You know, it's not so different than a Voltron combiner, right? The black line always has to be a bit bigger in order to be the chest. And it just keeping up with the ratioing of everything, and what if one doesn't do well, and sometimes you do the redeco thing, and it's just tricky, man. It is just tricky. So I always find it interesting how that stuff gets rolled out. Hey, T Farmers 2002, how are you? CD Freedom, how you doing? My problem is it's tough for me to see on this laptop the different references that I need. Let's see here. Such a weird name. Thunderblast. It's like it is a good Transformer name, but I don't know if it's a good character name. It's like, what does that mean? What does that mean? When you guys reference, if you wanted to say, if I wanted to get detail of a Transformer's head, do you guys use the term head or face? I'm just curious about your preference. You know, I tend to use head, but I'm just curious what people might do. All right. Dun, dun, dun. I like Thunderblast. Kind of a simple shape study, really. Kind of a. This is an Eric head for the final. This was one we kind of. I was working back and forth with him. It's his item. I'm pretty sure it's how I remember it, but I definitely had some opinions about it. So my friends who I'm visiting, they went to a concert tonight, 3 hours away. So I got here yesterday to spend a little bit of time, and I said I can do something on Friday night. I am totally fine. I'm just glad my cell phone is so far keeping up. Can't throw a Thunder Blast without a bunch of crap behind her, right? That would be kind of missing part of her charm. What do you guys think? Is the boat cape too much kibble, or Easter egg transformer for any of you? I admit, it's a great form robot, but it's pretty much just hidden inside that boat, isn't it? All right, come back to the chat here. What do we got? Yeah. Yeah, faces for some reason, I don't know. I spent a lot of time trying to convince people that they were living sentient beings, but face seems almost too personal in a way. Yeah, it is a pretty dramatic shell former. All right, those of you who might be new to the show, the coloring of these things is very sloppy until I get into a tighter and tighter phase of this. So fear not if you think this guy is crazy, just scratching random colors of this stuff. It'll all make sense in the end. It's a lot of kind of layering of light and shadow. Just the monotonous back and forth. Yeah, so I tend to say heads. You know, I'm looking for Transformer head reference when I'm doing this stuff. Way more than I would ever use, face. So I'm just gonna cover up half the drawing I just did. So, missed you guys the last few weekends, but just wasn't in the cards, so I apologize for going rogue for a couple weeks. But the kids are back in school. I am hoping to hear about a job opportunity as well. So if any of you got a lucky rabbit's foot or a magic wish that you still have not used and want to donate to me, I will take it because I would like to get this gig. Could be very cool. So that's kind of what's been going on with me. Hey, Young Kang, how are you? Oh, cool. Thanks, Red. I hope you enjoy those. Yeah, so I remember the creation of this character being pretty straightforward in some regards, but as we did it, but it's pretty wild that it's a boat female transformer. The more I think about that, it's like often things like Strika would have to happen, you know, like a badass vehicle form to pair up with so that it wouldn't, you know, tip the scales. But I guess I was trying to push beyond that, and the boat didn't matter. I'm surprised I got to do as many boats in the end as we kind of did across the Unicron trilogy. Pleasant character to draw and revisit. Yeah, I mean, you know, when you think about how these toys come to be, and then their uses in cartoons and animation, and which is redundant, I know, but you know, like when you have characters like things that are like boats, you know, it gets a little. What environment do you encounter these, and are you manufacturing in the story just to go to these weird environments to run into these characters from time to time? So it does create a little bit of a hiccup as far as planning goes and what's the focus. So that definitely can be a factor as well. I know I didn't do this head, but it's got a lot of my elements. A lot of fins on fins on fins, everything getting. Sorry. Sometimes it's a little hard to draw and focus and talk at the same time. Ninjatron knows what I'm talking about. You ever go silent on those Twitch streams while you draw away? Hey, Rudy Mac, how's it going? So, how do you all feel about the Shockwave final? What do we got? An aquatic creature. I think, I think that, I think that could be very cool. I got that right? Aquatic creature. Let's hope they get in there and do something interesting. You know, I think, you know, when you get to the 40th anniversary of any kind of thing like this, I think all the bets are off. I think you should be able to do anything with these characters, especially when the fandom might know that it's a one-off or kind of unique scenario that form might come to be. Why not? I mean, golly, I was getting tired of G1 Optimus design back when I was still there. Um, you know, just how many ways can you slice that pie? Well, they've continued to slice the pie. But it's good to see things like Big Convoy, uh, you know, the Mastodon and stuff like that coming into play. Because that is, you know, a cool way to bring Optimus, you know, keep having a Optimus / Convoy, but not the same one over and over and over and over. Yeah. Yeah, I would like him to be. I mean, man, with the Quintesson they just did, I don't see them doing another octopus type thing necessarily. I think this is the new tooling, so I don't think we have to worry about that being a redeco, right? Of the of that. Um, Golly, I hope not. Yeah, trains are tough, and especially now. I wonder if, I mean, is Takara making anything that Takara's or Hasbro's not also taking? Um, that could still be a tricky one. But as they get through the Bisons and the Mastodons and the, you know, the White Lions and the different trucks and eventually Optimus with a cape, you know, they'll get to it. They'll eventually get to it. I have no doubt of that anymore. Well, to me, I don't know. This could be me underthinking it sometimes. I would, you know, characters like Shockwave, I knew for me they were historically important. You know, they were there, part of the, you know, certainly one of the great comic covers ever, let alone our Transformer comic covers. But wasn't a character that I thought a lot of people rallied around or would put on their favorite list. You know, I think, I was not aware of how popular he might have been. You know, because in some ways he was just the sci-fi gun in the '80s to Megatron's real gun. He didn't say a lot, so he was kind of like Soundwave. The impression I got back in the day, anyway, and how I carried that through when I was designing characters. So that's why I was always open to having him be a satellite or whatever else. But what do you guys feel that Shockwave is a top tier Transformer character, G1 character, or is he still a little comes and goes depending on what's happening with him, in your opinion? How important is he to your lore? this is a nice warm-up. Cryotech is a little too complex for a good warm-up. This one's much better. I'm also going to start a new black marker here, I think, after this one. All right, what are people saying here? Yeah, I knew he was strong. I guess the fact that he doesn't talk much is just makes me not think of him a lot. But so what I'm sharing there is basically some of my childhood biases around some of these characters lingered into my creative choices, and that's why you didn't see a ton of Shock Blast or Shock Wave or whatever we needed to call them at the time. Certainly did a few. Even got an alternator, so important enough to get an alternator. I guess he's got some clout. Coming together. I hope I'm not getting anyone dizzy while I do this. Yeah, that is true. I mean, one of the devil's in the details kind of things. Transformers. You hit it on the head there. If you consume the Marvel comics, some of these characters had a much different, obviously, life than they did in animation or even in a toy bio. And it is definitely depending on where you consumed your media, where some of those characters lived and didn't. I was probably animation centric, I guess, as a kid. I had the first run of comics, but I did not carry through after issue 5. But I still have all my original G.I. Joes, so that tells you I was a G.I. Joe kid over a Transformer kid. That I bought in, but I did not stay in on the comic front. Take that for what it's worth. So, a character like Shockwave, who definitely had a more robust life in the comic books, would not have. I wouldn't have known that as naturally as I would have things that happened on the cartoons. Okay, okay. Let's just talk a little cold turkey. I apologize for those of you who weren't there at the beginning, but it is hard to explain by today's standards just how different Transformers was when it came out from anything else that was on TV. So much so that it almost felt like it was a Japanese program. It was so different. G.I. Joe to some degree also, but with the giant robots and the scale and everything, it was amazing. And the fact that you could consume it a bunch of different ways, was, we talk about it, but also relatively new. Um, so that cartoon could definitely give you a strong impression. I always love the theme song. My favorite thing that I always was my joke as a kid, and still is kind of my joke. As the seasons go on, the oompa part of the under rug of the theme gets more and more pronounced. So the first season it's just this nice little beat back there, oompa, oompa. And then by season 3 it's Transformers, and it cracks me up that the oompa got more prevalent as it went on. The things we notice. What property did not get a cartoon that you wish did? I really wish there were better. Like, I don't know if I had one that I wish was made that wasn't necessarily made, but I definitely wanted better when I was a kid. Marvel cartoons, and that I guess ultimately happened. But like at one point, some of you would know this, but there was like one episode of the X-Men. There was like a test cartoon or something that you would get these bootleg copies at comic book shows. That's another thing that's completely gone from comic book shows is the bootleg VHS copies of anime and different things. But there was an X-Men single episode, and it showed a lot of promise, but it didn't really go anywhere around the time that Superpower or Secret Wars was out, the toy line. And I just always wanted something more serious in the Marvel cartoon world, because Spider-Man and Friends was cool and all, but not not cool. So I mean, I guess that's a lame answer, but that's in there. Because I saw a lot of the things I was into get made into cartoons, and it always sucked. It always sucked. RoboCop, different things. So, and I would have killed for more Predator and stuff back in the day. Now there's a great ton of it, but back then. So now I watch, the Marvel What If and cartoons like that, and it's like that. I don't even know if you can call that cartoons. It's animation, obviously, but yeah, that kind of stuff. Because I mean, they made Conan cartoons and Shadow cartoons and different things I might have been into, but they always were no good, man, no good. You're not going to convince me James Bond Jr. has any redemptive qualities either. I would have liked the Shogun Warriors cartoon, but even back then, I understood that the concept of it was like, what if Luke Skywalker, Batman, and the Jolly Green Giant all got together on a super team? That's how radically different those properties are. You're not even talking, Justice League or Super Friends or something. You're talking multiverse, multi-platform robots all coming together, which I find hilarious. That in itself could be a whole parody comic book or entertainment. That would be funny. Yeah, that Alien cartoon or Aliens cartoon. I remember that. That was like an the early CG one. I remember being at Kenner and seeing some of that stuff, like a sizzle video or something, if that's what you're talking about. But there's been so many starts and stops on Alien projects. It's amazing. Oh yeah, there's total Alien series scrapped. If I'm remembering, Ninja, it was like in the late '90s, and the studio went bankrupt or something when it didn't get picked up. I'm remembering something like that. Yeah, I was at Kenner. I was in Cincinnati for 6 years at Kenner, not just a short timer at Kenner. I was earning my stripes, for sure. So I got a lot of. I mean, I got a lot of love for Hasbro from my youth and GI Joe and Transformers, which I adored. But Kenner made Star Wars, and Kenner was in Ohio, so that was a dream as well. But yeah, 6 years, and I don't think I would have left Cincinnati. I liked Cincinnati, but they moved us to Rhode Island, and that became a whole other story. So I trim it in blue to give the connotation that there's some sort of liquid or water involved with this character without overdoing it. But yeah, that Aliens series, from what I remember, was very dark and gray and black vibe with like neon yellow or green as accent colors on all the light panels and stuff. So the aliens would like be hidden. Pretty crazy. I came into Kenner with the plan that I was going to be on the Predator Alien team, and then by the time I actually got got hired and all the paperwork and moved, which I don't know, took a couple weeks. That line had been canceled at Kenner, and that's how I ended up on Batman. So another twist of fate that I got put on the. I learned my toy game from the number one boys brand that Kenner had early in my career with some of the best, not all of them, but some of the best toy designers Kenner had, who were great mentors and whatnot. So if I was on the Predator Aliens team, that could have got disbanded. I could have got thrown anywhere with any number of people who might not have appreciated my skill set as much as the Batman team did. So, yeah, Kenner days were great. And I miss Cincinnati, and I still follow Cincinnati Bengals as a result. Oh, really? Red? I remember, I'm pretty sure I either saw a deck of that information, but I remember seeing like a sizzle reel, like a door opening, and I don't know if it was an egg or a face hugger or something, not overly complex, but I do remember something. Yeah, it was separate from I think there might have been some connections. Ah, man, that's a long time ago. I don't want to misstate anything, but I mean, certainly in that same universe vibe, I could say that. Whether it was directly connected or not, I'm kind of fuzzy on that. Boy, but if we're going to talk aliens for a second here, I am one of those people who could not have been more disappointed at the theater when Alien 3 came out. I saw it opening day. I was in college. Man, I was not happy about that one. I didn't like how it undercut the whole point of the second movie. To rescue the girl, rescue the soldier, and then they both die in the opening, off camera, basically. It's like, okay. Not cool. Not cool. All right. Hope that looks good to everybody. Yeah, Wind Charger, there's a whole pattern to that kind of creativity around the first one, second one, third one, fourth one. And it's like you can see when it works, and if you build upon it, it can really thrive. I think some of the John Wick movies are that way. Some of the Fast and Furious, once they found their director, could be that way, and you kind of keep improving on. But once it's just a commodity, and we're going to bring in this hot person to do their thing, and it's like you need people who care. You need people who give a crap. Um, yeah, T-Formers 2002. I just gotta tighten up a little bit of the heads and just send it to you. I've been doing other stuff. I got inspired to do the big guy, and the heads have been stymieing me a little bit. Sorry. Are you at that convention this weekend, or was that last weekend? You and Cringe. Yeah. I haven't watched the new Alien series yet. I'm avoiding spoilers, at least the YouTube spoiler stuff. Um, but I will eventually watch it. Um, I'm not quick to watch shows. I don't sit down anymore. It's hard for me to find the patience. I'm just finishing up like season 2 of Mindhunters, which has been wrapped up for quite a while at this point. So that just gives you an indication of how out of whack I am with the entertainment. Yeah, I hear good things, so I'll definitely see it. I don't no hate for it. I just don't sit back and watch it too often. So, and I got to be in the mood, and I got to have time to maybe watch a second, third, fourth one if I end up with them stacking up on me. But I like to be drawing if I can be doing anything. So that that's a factor for me. All right, there's Thunder Blast. Yeah, I heard. What's time? Well, we got a minute. Um, Alan, I heard that it cost a lot, and Mine Hunters, and that David Fincher got on to other stuff, and that it's probably not coming back. I hope that's not true because I find that I like David Fincher in spite of my crap on Alien 3. He was a young director. It's certainly his style, and you can see it for that after the fact. But at the time, that was not the story, or nor did I care about the style. Um, but his other stuff is great. Fight Club and Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and I even like Panic Room. Dun, dun, dun. All right, let me pull some King Atlas reference up. Anybody doing anything fun this weekend? I'm getting some good Mexican food tomorrow. Which you can get in North Carolina. Well, the Aliens franchise, again, it's one of these deals where it's born of many voices. So the first one is a suspense movie, monster hidden on ship. Second one is, military fights army of monsters. Third one is prison planet with monsters. So they all have their different tone and whatnot. They tried to fix it up, but I don't know. I struggle sometimes now with the things like Transformers and the movies and stuff, and I wish they were longer narratives and there was a good plan for a beginning, middle, and end. And I know I'm tilting at windmills, wishing for such a thing from Hollywood, but I think over the long haul, there's no core story, and it's just unfortunate. And so, I don't, as much as I love the monsters and aliens, you need a good human reaction to make it all make sense. Yeah, Fight Club's a good movie. I saw that in the theaters in England, which was wild. What's the story with King Atlas? This was in the Universe line. It was a redeco of a Starscream from, I call it G2, but you guys might have a different name for it. Ninjatron, insert comment here. No, Timu. Yeah, you know what? I don't know if it is. It must be a rare set of instructions. I have not had another one. When you consider this is 2003 that this came out. Well, Covenant, Primus and Covenant they are spectacles. They're beautifully visualized, but they don't help me understand the story at all. So I kind of hate them and hate like them. But one thing that I will throw out here today, and you guys can do your own research, but Aliens, the James Cameron Aliens, the second one, is very heavily influenced by Starship Troopers. the novel. And if you think about Starship Troopers with the bugs, and they call them bugs, and all of that in Aliens, you can appreciate the some of the inspiration slash theft or creative license or whatever, however you want to view that, but it's there. It is there. This guy's kind of fun. He is old school design. Yeah, so this tooling was still available to us at the time, and it was fun to have some really wild forms, I guess, in the universe line. There's a long form on my channel of just this, one of the last one we did, of just this topic, where we talk about a lot of the decisions of what got made and why for the universe line, why the universe line exists. So check that out. Let's see what's going on here. Not G2. So I know this might sound like a really dumb question for me to ask at this point, but like, is G2 a time period? Is it a series of characters? What defines G2? Things that were released in a certain year, or so King Atlas is my Anglicization of Die Atlas, from the old stuff. Skyquake has some cool colors, though, right? He's that kind of teal blue, dark, and with green tinted windows and stuff. He looks pretty cool, color-wise. I didn't know he had GPS, too. A little wishy-washy. So a guy named Martin over in the UK made those toys, like Pyro and a few of those items that got limited release. He's no longer with us. He was a good guy. He did a lot of Action Man. But he told me the story of working with Yoke-san and all that well before I ever got connected to Transformers. So it was kind of a funny little connection I have with a guy who told me his story way back in the day. He's a really good dude. He was a good dude. Jovial. He would have been at TF Nation for sure. He was really proud of being able to work with the Japanese. He was a good designer. Old school model maker kind of designer. Yeah, see, some people look at G2 as an aesthetic. I probably fall into that category. To me, it's like everything after the movie until Machine War showed up. But I know that's not accurate, but that's how I feel about it. Maybe not season 3, I guess, but soon after. Well, G2 definitely is like the most 80s of a memorable franchise. Um, yeah, right. Machine Wars does have G2 molds in it. That is funny. That is funny. So I came into Kenner. That stuff, the Machine Wars stuff was the stuff that was out, or had just been out, or was in closeout. But I do remember seeing it in stores in '95. So it might have been a KB outlet or something. But what's that, Grandpa? Well, there used to be a store called KB Toys, and then they had outlet stores, and you could get all kinds of cool crap for nothing. Yeah, Machine Wars, that was a weird one. Had weird choices. When I think of it, I think of the packaging choices that were made. It's like old school toy packaging. Yellow does not cover very well. Gotta do a lot of layers. Anybody have a King Atlas in the chat? Yeah, Toys R Us going away is unfortunate for everything, the whole industry. And the more you learn about it, the shittier it sounds. Just the whole takedown of a company for no other reason than some personal greed, and that's just what you can get away with when you buy companies. It's just crazy. Vultures, man. Vultures. going on? All right, time to say goodbye to you. So, if you enjoyed watching me draw a little bit, my phone is not going to last much longer, so I'm going to have to wrap it up. I'll fiddle with the information on the thing. If you want to find out more about this art, go to archermonster.com /shop, and you can see where this stuff ends up. I will be at TFCon in October in Chicago, and I will be at Hall of Fame CityCon in Canton, Ohio at the end of September here. I'm looking forward to that. That is my hometown. Always fun to do a con in your hometown. Makes the setup a lot easier. Yeah, Thunderblast will probably go up. I will take the picture in the morning and put it up. So when you see it on my social media is probably when it'll be up on the site. So if interested, check that out. And I will be continuing to noodle at these over the weekend. So there'll be a whole bunch of new stuff. I'm also going to do some Godzilla painting and maybe a Sailor Moon. Uh-oh, watch out. I have you know what? Maybe I'll open it up. Ninjatron, I'm curious what you might say, but I got this old moon map from way back in the day. Fixed all the corners and whatnot. There we go. And, I want to paint on this. But it's got to be something cool. I don't know if it should be a Gundam, a Zuku or something, a Sailor Moon. I don't know. Could be Dark of the Moon. I could do a big Sentinel Prime on this sucker, I guess. But a Sailor Moon might be fun. But this is one you'll see. But I'm going to do something more complete, more finished on this one. So look for that. A little sneak preview there into the future. So what do you guys have to say? Yeah, Sailor Moon, what do you think? Am I getting too close to your territory, Ninja? Yeah, whole cast of Dark of the Moon, that could be cool. Could do a series of portraits. Yeah, could be fun. Could be fun. So I'm going to keep mulling on that one. So thanks everyone was here tonight. Again, I'm not on my normal setup, so can't thank the Patreon members exactly, but thank you. I appreciate you. But that's what's going on. So look for me again next week. I think I will be available. Hopefully, I will know more about this job. Again, if you have good vibes to send my way, in a world of people who need good vibes sent their way, if you got a little extra, hope that I get this job. Would be awesome. And I can't wait to tell you all about it when I do. All right, everybody. I appreciate you. I thank you. And Archer out. Bear with me while I disassemble this from whatnot. All right, folks. I appreciate you. We'll see you next time.